everyone, welcome back to our Mountains to the Sea fall series. It's fall, y'all. So today we're going to start off our series talking about why leaves leave. My name is Sloan and I am a program specialist at Rock Eagle. And so let's talk about how we know it's fall. One of the things is that it's sweater weather. So it's cool in the mornings. The temperature is not too hot anymore. Another thing that we've noticed happening around us is that the sun is going down much sooner during the day. So there are longer periods of nighttime, shorter periods of daylight. And then another reason we know it's fall, literally that the leaves are falling from the trees. So looking around here at Rock Eagle's beautiful lake, we have a little bit of fall color happening and certainly some leaves falling off of trees. But that begs the question, why do leaves leave? To understand why leaves leave, we need to figure out what plants are actually making their leaves fall. And there are two groups of trees that we have here in North America. One are going to be our deciduous trees, and those are trees like maples, oaks, sweet gum, and even ginkgos. And they have thin, vascularized leaves. So you can see all the veining throughout the leaf. It's a naturally thin leaf, and it's also quite broad. We can call these our broadleaf trees. And deciduous trees are the trees that drop their leaves in the fall. The other type of trees are going to be our conifers or our evergreens. Evergreens are called evergreen because they never lose their leaves and they stay green the whole year. Conifers are evergreens, and they are called that because they literally produce a cone, like this pine tree here that has produced a pine cone. And we can identify conifers because they have very thick leaves, so the individual leaf is much thicker than a deciduous leaf, and they have much less surface area. So all of our pine trees have these pine needles on them, and the thickness of the leaf is based on the leaf's cuticle, which is a waxy coating on the leaf, which helps to protect the leaves from herbivory, like herbivores such as deer, and it's also going to help protect the leaf during the winter time. So these leaves and these trees, the conifers, don't have to drop their leaves because of that waxy cuticle. Why do deciduous trees have to drop their leaves? Deciduous trees have, again, those thin, broadleaf leaves. The leaves on a tree are essentially the kitchens of the tree. That's where they're making and producing all of the food for the tree. Trees and plants produce food through a process called photosynthesis, photo meaning light. So these plants are producing energy from sunlight, and they're doing that inside their leaves. The leaves are green because the cell that is making the photosynthesis and the energy are called chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is a green pigment within the leaf. So trees that are deciduous and our conifers are green because they're photosynthesizing. During the winter time and the fall, the days start getting shorter, and that triggers deciduous trees to send out a hormone that tells all of the leaves to stop producing chlorophyll and also to start producing what's called abscission cells, which are going to literally cut the leaf off of the tree. So the abscission cells will start growing at the base of the leaf, and they'll slowly start to weaken the structure of the leaf so that it slowly starts to hang from the tree. Sugars and other nutrients will start to build up at the base of the leaf as well and sort of clog that area to help protect the tree. And then the leaf will be ready to fall off. So deciduous trees are cutting their leaves off because it's more energy efficient for them to get rid of their leaves and protect themselves from water damage than it would be to try and keep their leaves all year. During the winter time, we know that our temperatures start to get really cold. Here in Georgia, we may have the occasional frost or snow. Water has an interesting property in that when it freezes, it actually expands. So if deciduous trees were to still have their leaves on, if they were photosynthesizing during a warm sunny day in the wintertime, they would be using water to do that. But if there was a freeze that night, all that water in the leaves would expand and freeze, and it would completely kill and damage the leaf and potentially damage the tree as well. So for trees that are deciduous, it's more energy efficient for them to drop their leaves, stop photosynthesizing, and go dormant during the winter time so that they reduce the likelihood of being damaged during the winter. Conifers don't need to drop their leaves because their leaves are thick, they have less surface area, and they can still photosynthesize in the winter time, but they're not as likely to be damaged by freezing water because the leaves are so thick with that waxy cuticle. So they are protected from that water damage. So deciduous trees will drop their leaves, and soon a lot of the bank that we see here at Rock Eagle along the lake will have bare trees where all of the leaves have fallen, and we'll just have our pine trees still photosynthesizing and growing their leaves. So once all of the leaves fall off of our deciduous trees, what happens to them? Well, there are many, many benefits of all of the leaf litter on the ground. So leaf litter naturally offers a place to camouflage for small animals, like this box turtle. It's also going to offer a home to many of our decomposers like bacteria, fungi, and invertebrates. All of those decomposers are going to help to break down the leaves and return the carbon that's in the leaves back into the soil. So as the leaves decompose, they're recycling those nutrients and actually creating a much deeper, richer, healthier soil. Before the leaves break down, they of course make a natural blanket over the ground, and that helps to insulate smaller plants like ferns, seedlings, even fungi and other things living underground from cold weather and freezing temperatures. And then once all of the snow melts or we have a heavy rain during the winter time, the leaf litter will actually help to slow down erosion and prevent that water from just rushing naturally down the landscape. It'll help it to percolate into the ground at a slower rate. And then leaf litter has been shown to be an even better fertilizer for the soil than our man-made fertilizers. So the leaf litter helps to maintain a healthy pH in the soil. It slowly releases those nutrients instead of just releasing them all at one time. And it helps to incorporate those natural decomposers like earthworms and ants, which mix up the soil, aerate the soil, and allow the soil to capture more water and be better able to fight diseases. So now you ask the question, well, what do I do with all of the leaves once they fall off the trees? If I live in a suburban area where I've got a lawn and I don't have a forest in my backyard, some things that you can do in your own lawn to help protect the leaf litter and to utilize the leaf litter are using the leaves as a natural compost or fertilizer. So a couple things that you can do. If you want to, you can rake and blow the leaves into an unused spot in your yard, and then that way in that spot you're providing refuge for small animals, and you're also creating a natural compost and insulated area in your yard for any critters and wildlife that you have. And then you can also use the leaves and put them in your compost pile. So you could rake and collect all of the leaves, put them in your compost pile, and use them in the springtime when they've broken down in your garden. Another thing you can do to save yourself some time is if you have a lawnmower, putting a mulching or rotary blade on it, which will chip up all of the leaves as you mow your lawn. And then you can leave the leaves in and on your lawn, they'll create a nice insulating bed, but they'll be in much smaller pieces, so they'll decompose much quicker, but still provide all of those wonderful benefits to your lawn. And then lastly, one of the things that you can do is jump in your leaves. All right, to finish out our first Monday at the mound, I have an awesome activity that you can do at home to use some of the leaves that you might be finding in your yard as they're starting to fall off the trees. The materials that you're going to need to do this activity: you will need a couple pieces of cardboard, a piece of scrap wood, although if you don't have it, that's okay. This is just providing a nice flat, smooth surface for us. Another piece of cardboard, some newspaper, and then a piece of white fabric. I'm using a pillowcase, but you could use a t-shirt, curtains, white napkins, even if you had a plain white face mask that you wanted to decorate. Because what we're going to be doing is actually using the pigment in the leaves to make a pattern on our fabric and dye the fabric the color and pattern of the leaves. So to help us do that, you'll need some leaves, of course, of a color and shape that you like, some masking tape, and then this is where you're going to need an adult to help you, but you'll need a hammer, because what we're going to be doing is actually bursting the pigment or the chlorophyll in our leaves and dyeing the pillowcase. So I'm going to lay out my leaves in the pattern that I want. And I'm going to use the masking tape to help hold the leaf down. Of course, if it's a windy day, you might have to have a few extra hands. The masking tape's going to help me hold the leaves in place so that I don't smush my fingers as I'm hammering. And one more leaf. All right, and now for the fun part. I'm going to actually hammer the leaves to burst those chlorophyll pigments and dye this pillowcase. All right, now it's time for the reveal. We'll just peel off our tape and our leaves. All right, and look at that. We have a leaf dyed pillowcase. We'll put the instructions on how to finish your pillowcase to set the dye at the end of this video, and tune in on Fridays for Fortson's video, where they will actually be talking more about the pigments in the leaves and why the leaves change color.